I am going to remind you people that I've often said that Charlie was the best grifter I ever saw. Now, that doesn't mean that he didn't believe what he was preaching, but he was really good at getting millions of people to buy in, even if the people around him were full of shit. And how do I know? Well, this clip I distinctly remember from the summer shortly before he was killed.
Let me ask a question. If we were to remove, like if people said what Tucker said is anti-Semitic, I don't hold that view. But it's like a lot of people on Twitter are like calling us out and like, whatever. That's not going to happen. But if we were to cancel Tucker, would anti-Semitism increase or decrease?
I think increase, because that means any supporter of Tucker Carlson's statement therefore makes them anti-Semitic.
Guilt and association, 100%.
Exactly.
But the binary that's presented is that if you don't passionately talk about it, you are a hater. That's probably destructive for everybody involved. So for me, I'm trying to find this new path, which is, I love Israel. I visited there. My wife and I had the best experiences ever. I saw where Jesus rose from the dead and he walked on water. But also, I'm an American.
Okay. Now, you know how I was saying earlier about how looks could kill? And I am very clear about that talking point. There is something about Andrew Kolvet that is right there in the eyes. It's right there. Like I said, I don't know if he was involved. I can't prove it because I'm not involved, but I know this much. This is the person who we have covered before, where we said there's something ain't right about him. And the way he looks at Charlie, especially talking about Israel, how do you not suspect that something's going on? Wouldn't it be obvious at this point that some type of an investigation would need to commence if we were living in a just world? I would think so. But there is no justice. Not yet, anyway. So when you see people constantly coming down on Candace, just know there are people like Kolvet who are not all that they seem to be. Like I said, I don't know how he's involved, but I know whatever he's been sharing. And I saw somebody say that in the chat that apparently he was responsible for sharing the text messages. And again, that might all be well and true. Andrew Kolvet is the person who wrote the letter saying that Charlie Kirk, because he was a healthy eater, stopped a 30-06 from piercing through his neck. He's the one who wrote it. Don't get fooled. Just see what I see. You know what I see? I see a person who's not telling the truth, whatever that may be. I don't know what the truth is, but I know whatever he's saying, that's not it.
So I'm an American, and I represent a generation that can't afford anything, and that we are like flooded with illegals, and no one speaks English, and our hospitals are clogged. I think we need to have the prudence to reject the Jew hate. Like, okay, we're not going to put up with that. That's dumb. But also, if you call everyone an anti-Semite, if they don't take a puritanical view of the Netanyahu government, then I think it's bad for everybody.
So would you guys all basically safe to say welcome us not talking about Israel nearly as much?
Yes.
100%.
Every day.
A cope that is...
And leave it to Mr. Kolvet to say, hey, can we stop talking about Israel? I really don't want to talk about that. That's not good for business. We know who butters our bread. Charlie, don't overthink it. Just move on. Move along.
often found in broken institutions. And I found this now over 13 years. It's a great truism. You guys can learn it for the rest of your life. Anybody that tells you we have a messaging problem, you should go a step deeper and ask another question. Being like, what, are you actually doing something wrong? Or are you bad at messaging it? Because people that are doing bad stuff will sometimes be like, well, we're just not presenting it correctly. Sometimes that's true. Or sometimes there actually might be something beneath the surface that you're not doing well. So do you guys think that it's a messaging problem or that it's an actual material concept problem?
Yeah. It's a values and priorities problem.
Yeah, it's definitely a messaging problem. These politicians, they don't need to be car salesmen. You know, we need the truth, we need the direct truth, and nothing but the truth. But these politicians, they're not truthful. You know, they're digging Gen Z down in the dirt.
Who represents you best outside of Trump?
And on that note, Charlie, unfortunately, that's the grift. Who best represents you? Trump? No, that's not true. We all know that. But there is a lot of truth to what they are talking about. And I got to tell you, these kids are all right. Even if they are conservative, socially, economically, they know something's wrong. And that's good. And you know what? A lot of them are scared. And I get it. What we have is each other. And putting differences aside is a very hard reality to come to terms with. It is very easy, especially for the youth, to be susceptible to the musings of somebody like Fuentes. You can't fall for it. Our obligation is to show them that that future that we seek is possible. Why do you think we push for single-payer healthcare as hard as we do? There are people who still think single-payer healthcare is government-run healthcare and not government-funded. There is a difference. Huge difference. Huge. You want to talk about economic freedom? You know, I constantly hear about how we're 38 trillion in the hole. That's a conversation for another day. Do you know that a single-payer healthcare system would save us $500 billion in costs alone every single year? The changes we seek, they're right in front of us. It's not that complicated. But there is a lot of money on the table for a lot of grifting individuals. That's how it works. We have to be better at not getting distracted. That's our job.
Well, thank you. That's great.
I don't do that just for the sake of it either. I mean, you're here involving us for a reason because we are the important group. We're going to inherit all of these issues. So
No, again, the reason I'm doing this is that the reason we're doing this focus group, and Andrew will attest, I've been trying to tell them that there is an earthquake coming on this issue and in the country, and they don't believe me. So I'm like, why don't you just hear it from people themselves?
He's right. And again, to his credit, when he was alive, he never ran away from a conversation, even if it meant, in many cases, making him look like a fool, because in many times he did. But that was probably, to Charlie's credit, probably his greatest gift. These people that are now in control, they don't want any conversation, not even a little bit. They just want the money. Perhaps because they know that the organization is going to fail. And much like the system, they're content to see it fall apart. But what, if any, is going to prove that we were right? I'll tell you why. Because in the end, it all comes full circle to why I feel an obligation to back up Candace Owens. Because I am watching what people are doing to her right now. They're coming at her with everything they have. They are getting everyone in line. They are making sure that this is on the left side of politics and on the right side of politics. It doesn't matter. Doesn't matter. Everyone who has their hands in the cookie jar of the corporate algorithm and is making money Sometimes not saying anything by omission is guilt. That's a fact. Just like Matt Walsh says, no, I don't want to talk about it. Oh, you don't? You don't want to talk about it? Aren't you the person that preaches Christianity? Yeah, some fucking Christian you are. As I've said, Candace and I agree on some, we disagree on much. But on this core issue, she is using her platform for all it's worth. And the key is Charlie's assassination, because it unlocks it all. Here is a person who, from the time he was young, was prepped and groomed to lead a multi-million-dollar youth-run conservative organization. Why was Charlie Kirk summoned to lead a conservative youth movement? It was in response to Obama's coalition in 2008. That's how he came on the scene. This is all about money and power, guys. That's all it's ever been about. And as soon as he decided that he wasn't useful anymore, at least in the minds of those that brought him to prominence in the first place, he had to be made an example of. And it had to be done in public so that everyone saw, clear as day, what happens to those who question the state of Israel.